Hey everybody, this is Hitch and Seth with Seeyouonthetrail. My name is Hitch. This is Seth. What's going on, buddy?
Glad to finally be back doing this. It's been a little while.
Yeah, it has been. We haven't been doing this very long. We haven't done it in a while. We've been doing this over like a year and a half now.
Yeah,
something like that.
It was about a year ago. It was last winter.
Yeah, that was one of our first ones. That's right.
So it's been about almost. I don't know. We'll say this is our 1 year anniversary. How about that?
Let's go with that. That's cool. So, but we're sitting here. We changed up the podcast a little bit. There's a studio area, and we got a TV here. What we're going to do sooner or later is probably put some videos up there whenever we find them and stuff like that. But tonight, whatever you want to call it, we actually have a really cool guest. So, guest, introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Chance. I'm the president and founder of Recoil Outdoor. So we're a nonprofit here in Oklahoma.
Oh, good deal. Good deal. Tell us about yourself. Like if somebody walks up to you and says, my name is Hitch, you say your name is Chance. Tell me what the history is from birth till on.
How'd you get into off-roading and end up where you are now?
So really, really young. I mean, I grew up in Sapulpa. Had a little farm out on a little bit of land in Enid. Lived out there for a little while. Then moved to this city when I was about 21, 22.
Now you say city, Oklahoma City?
OKC.
Okay.
So enlisted in the National Guard at 17 and worked in aviation in the Guard for a little while, and then just moved to the city and started working at the airport.
And Will Rogers, or?
Yep, Will Rogers.
What were you doing there?
NDT, non-destructive testing.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Crawling.
Testing on like plane parts, or?
Yeah, so crawling inside of wings of 737s and testing, looking for cracks and whatnot in the airframes.
Is that for a contractor, I'm guessing? Or
no, it was in-house.
For?
AAR.
Oh, AAR, okay.
Yep.
You happen to know a friend of mine named Vanderberger? Does that ring a bell to you at all?
Sounds German.
It does, but I'm trying to think of where I'd know it from.
It'd either be Pete or Matt. Matt's a good friend of mine. In fact, the last time I saw Matt was at Disney, Oklahoma. He had an old CJ5 that was painted like military style with the star on it and everything. He's a good friend of mine from Boy Scouts. I was just curious. No big deal.
One of my neighbors works at.
He's an inspector out there.
Yeah.
Oh, so
I work with him.
One of my neighbors, actually, my neighbor who had the litter of puppies I got Archer, my dog, from, he works at Field out there.
Okay. Yep.
I think he's in the manages a warehouse and supply or something like that.
Well, cool. So, what got you into wheeling, man?
Oh, man, my dad and my grandpa always had Jeeps growing up. So it was always, we're going to Disney, go wheeling, or we're going to Hot Springs to go wheeling. The little Jeep Cherokee, 96 XJ, built with 32s and some rock sliders, just a mild build, 4-inch lift.
A Disney rig.
Yeah. Well, then Disney, not now Disney.
No, I still see those at every event I've been to at Disney, and I'm not a Disney regular. It's been 4 times I've been there, I think. Mm-hmm. Still, XJs are everywhere. 33s, doors are optional. Seatbelts and seats are optional, I think, in those things.
Yeah. I think I've seen, it was a Disney probably 15 years ago. There was a video of a guy that either rolled a 5 or a 7, or it may have been a Cherokee, and he rolled it off. He fell out, and the vehicle rolled over him, but he was in where the door should have been. So as it rolled on, he just stood up and went, "What happened?"
Golly.
Yeah, it's on YouTube somewhere. It's ridiculous. But so your dad, right? Is that who you said?
Yeah. So we had, I remember when I was like 2 years old, had a little Jeep Comanche pickup he got from my grandfather, and then he sold that and bought the XJ from my grandfather and started building that. So just little Rusties, 4-inch lift, add a leaf in the rear, and 32s.
Nice.
So, and then we've been ATVs, side by side, just kind of in the outdoors all growing up. Little Honda 3-wheelers out on the farm toys,
Gotcha.
So
I just want to say a 32 is a very weird size to say. Usually I hear, oh yeah, I run 33s, 35s. 32 is just, it's almost like, what was a metric size? So we rounded around. 32 was the closest, it's not like a normal off-road size.
It's also a 15-inch wheel.
Well, no, it would make more sense. Yeah, it was a 32 on like a 15 3/4 wheel. Like, what kind of import stuff are you running? Man, China, they're screwing you.
Yeah.
You really have to buy what they got.
So what was your first vehicle?
It was a 69 Chevy pickup.
Nice.
So I on the bus, so going to school and home, I'd see
And you
this
saw
thing sitting in the
69,
field.
and I'm like, I gotta have it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So did you fix it up, or was it just an old beater, or what was
Yeah,
it?
so it was no motor, no tranny. I got it home. Basically said, hey, I'll work for this thing. I'm 15 years old. I'll work for this. I want to build it through high school. And the old lady that owned the house, it was her, I think her late husband had already passed away. And she goes, if you want it, come and get it. So we went and picked it up, built it all through high school, got it running on my senior prom night. Literally the first test drive was my dad took it around the block as I'm jumping in the shower to get ready for prom. So that close.
That's awesome. And what'd you end up, motor and tranny, what'd you end up putting into it?
So it's kind of a funny story. It had a 305, which is a little, some hop up cam and some different heads, intake, 4-barrel carb, but it was out of a 65 Ford that my aunt and uncle had built when they were in high school.
So you pulled a Chevy engine out of a Ford to put back in the Chevy?
Exactly.
Okay.
So it was kind of cool to have some sentimental value there in the motor in it and whatnot. Had turbo 400. I mean, it had every bit of 110 horsepower probably, but it sounded good.
Yeah, that's all. It's like my little orange car out there. It sounds good and it corners well, but it's slow as hell.
Hey, I
Yep.
play that. I
Yep.
play a game on my phone. It's like CSR2 realistic drag racing or something. I've got one of those cars on there, and I've put a bunch of hop up parts in it. Still one of my slowest cars.
You bought a BRZ just like me. I can
Well,
put it.
it's actually the Toyota version. I forget what they call it.
GT86.
Something like that. But yeah, I've got your car. So there you go. You can get that game, and you can you can live out your fantasies of what that car could be on that game.
Believe it or not, I have a tuner on it. It's running on E85. I push 207 horsepower maybe, and a cold air intake, which that gives me another half.
Now, is it a
Yeah,
real cold
exactly.
air, or is it just a shiny tube with a K&N on the end of it?
It's a TRD cold air intake. I bought
Oh,
it from
okay.
Toyota. Yeah, actually it came with the car, but anyway. So anyway, go on with your truck.
They just threw it in for me.
Yep.
Kind of a big deal.
So the truck, man, I had it for 3 weeks before I wrecked it. After building it, so
Okay.
I actually entered it in a car
200
show.
horse was too much.
I guess so. For a wet gravel road, yes. I ran out of talent with
Was
no
it
power
two-wheel drive or
brakes.
four-wheel drive?
Two.
Okay.
No power brakes, no power steering, big old, 17-inch wheel or whatever it is they put in those things. But no, I entered it in a car show. I got first place. Entered it with my dad, and then, like I said, 3 weeks having it, totaled it, and that was the end of that one.
So what was the next one? When did you get into four-wheel drives?
Like, what was your first four-wheel drive? Or that you worked on or had experience with, like that kind of, like, okay, I want to keep doing this.
I always knew I wanted to do it.
Okay.
But my very first, get out and wheel myself without having the, assistance of everybody else was probably my CJ7. I got that when I moved to the city in 2019.
Gotcha.
So, and it was a beater. Rusted out, picked up for like $1,500, but a Dana 300 twin stick, little 360, and went out and just beat on it.
Nice. Where'd you go usually? Disney and
It wasn't roadworthy for Disney.
I gotcha.
It was also a daily.
oh, it was a
So-
daily, so it wasn't a trailer queen. All
So
right.
it was a daily, but it wasn't roadworthy for Disney?
Exactly.
Okay, all right.
If I showed you pictures of this thing, you'd be like, yeah, I wouldn't be taking that anywhere.
Okay.
So it had some frame rot. I actually saw it for sale not long ago on Facebook. I was like, somebody doesn't know what they're going to get into. So I wasn't proud of it, but it got me on the trails, and I was not making much money at the time, so it was something that I could still have fun in.
So
Right.
at that time, was Big Red opened four drives?
Big Red. Where's
Which it was a off-road park out in McLeod. It started out just like four-wheelers, side-by-sides, dirt bikes, and then they opened it up to Jeeps and stuff. And I know Red Dirt Jeeps would go out there and do stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't even think that park's still open, but there is another one called the Ravine that I need to talk to you about because it looks like a cool place.
All right.
It's starting to pop up. I've heard good things.
But Big Red was like the local off-road thing for a little bit. I never went out there, but since you're a little bit younger than me, that would be about that time frame probably. So
Yeah, so I actually didn't get to wheel it a whole lot aside from like that first 6 months before I went on deployment. So before that, I did have a 01 Jeep Cherokee XJ, but it was two-wheel drive. I did lift it, put 33s on it, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to convert it to four-wheel drive.
finally like a legit tire size.
Yeah. Well, a 33 you can't stuff full in the wheel well. 32 you can fit it inside.
if you trim the wheel well.
Yeah, see the 32s you don't have to trim.
Oh, I'm a firm believer in run as big a tire as you can while trimming and stuffing the tire. Like smallest amount of lift with the biggest tire you can run while trimming, especially if it's something you're actually wheeling. Like,
Yep.
what's some trimming? Screw it,
Right.
You know, and get another half inch or depending on the tire. I mean, you might actually lose height because tire sizes seem like made up sometimes when you measure
Right.
actual heights of tires.
Depending on the manufacturer and yeah,
So
all
yeah,
sorts
your
of stuff.
32 might be about as tall as some manufacturers' 35s.
Yeah. Well, and you got to think when it was built was like the early 2000s when 35 was like a big boy tire,
Yeah,
but
especially on something you drove every day. you
yeah,
know.
exactly.
And now, like my JK on 35s is like normal.
Exactly. Yep.
Like 37s or 40s is like, okay, you got something kind of cool, you know.
Yep.
But a JK on 35s is, it's another JK on 35s.
Yep.
It's like-
Exactly.
it's like owning an AR. It's like, you got an AR, cool.
So let's see here. You got the old Cherokee. Oh no, you CJ7.
CJ7.
And then after that, you went on deployment, right?
Yeah, so a little bit of plans before deployment. I had the CJ, traded a guy for a YJ, 95 YJ, 5-speed, 2.5, like gutless turd. Ended up having to get a court order title for it and finding out that it was actually a rebuilt title.
Okay.
So while overseas, I decided to like consolidate debt, move some money around, and had a buddy that was going to build me a motor for the Jeep prior to deployment.
Well, hold on. I just want to say it's actually an engine. Motors are electric.
Back in the day, there weren't an electric, so it was a motor. It was
No. Motor is electric. Engines are internal combustion.
I didn't know we had to be PC on this podcast.
I had to do that because every time I'm watching a show, they're like, "Oh yeah, we built a new motor for it." I'm like, "You're supposed to be like knowledgeable," but I don't know, one of those little ticks in my head. But I'm also like, okay, like
Intrusive thoughts.
I still say it sometimes too. But now that I've actually put it out in the world,
You have to
hopefully
abide by it.
I can maybe eliminate that thought in my head. So
Yeah.
that's why I had to interrupt. All right.
That's fair.
So you put a new engine in.
I was going to.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for using.
I
the
was
correct term.
going to build this Jeep around this engine.
Was it another inline six?
It was a 2.5 is what it said.
Oh yeah. Oh sorry.
It's the
four
one.
cylinder.
Well, the 2.5 is currently in the Jeep. The one that was going to go in was a 3.0 Mercedes diesel.
Oh, so you didn't want it to be simple.
No.
Okay.
No. At first, I was thinking, oh, this won't be too bad. And then I dove into it. When you're overseas, you know how it is. You don't have anything to do. Let's dig out Excel spreadsheets.
Especially if you're a pope.
Yeah. The same
You
thing
guys
day
brought
in,
that
day out.
No,
it up.
I don't think it matters what your job is in the military. There's you got a bunch of stuff to do until you don't, and you're sitting, waiting.
Yep. Hurry up and wait
Yep,
all the time.
Exactly. Those long periods of Man, I wish we had something to do. And then when you actually are doing something, you're like, man, I wish we weren't doing this.
And you've watched all the movies on your hard drive.
Yep. And then, you can't use your hard drive again because it's got viruses because of the movies you swapped with the guy next to you.
Yep.
All right, so you're figuring this out. You want to put a diesel engine in.
Yeah, and it turned into a quick, it's $3,500 to a $12,000 build. Then turn around, I'm here. Why don't we do a $20,000 build? So I sold the Jeep, kept the motor. It was like I was going to go on something someday, and consolidated that. Bought a house, bought a truck. Had basically a list of stuff to do when I got home. Ended up at the airport working and traded my daily truck for a Chevy base model truck, which funded the current build that I have, which is a 76 Wagoneer.
Okay.
And and it had an LS swap, 4-speed. It was fun. Had a 205, 37s, 1 tons. It's like, this one's going to be the swap that I do it in. So out comes the LS, sold it from front to back, turnkey swap for a full-size Jeep, and started the swap with the Mercedes diesel.
What transfer case did it have with the LS setup?
205.
Okay.
So it was fun. I didn't like the third pedal. Took it out to crossbar a few times. Like, I just don't want it for the wheeling that I'm doing. I don't want the third pedal. So that was the first, let's swap transmissions. And then while I'm here, I've got the motor sitting in the corner. Might as well swap another motor in it.
Now, were you experienced with the Mercedes diesel?
No.
You just were like, this sounds like a good idea?
So I researched it,
Okay.
but I've never had hands-on. Buddy of mine, a Mercedes guy out in Tulsa, he was always into Mercedes and diesels. It's like, well, if I need any help, I've got him as backup. And he's actually the one that built the motor for me while I was overseas. And I got home and looked into it more and more and more. I was like, well, I'm going to change it from all electric with the PCM and TCM and all that and go straight mechanical. It's simple and
Okay.
easy as it can go.
So with that engine, you can swap from, manage with a computer to mechanical, like a 12-valve Cummins?
Yes.
Okay.
So and it's the third of the weight of a 12-valve. It's about 400 horse, high revving, like 7,000 RPM.
Is it inline or is it a V?
It's inline.
Inline 4?
6.
6? Okay.
Yep. So that's what's on it now, and I'm shooting for about 450 horsepower.
And what would that engine have come out of?
Like a mid-90s E300 little car.
Oh, okay.
So you don't see them very often.
Wow. All right.
I was expecting it's like a Unimog but smaller, Okay.
Not at all.
A car. All right. Well, at least if it's in a car, it's fairly compact because you can't have like a really tall oil pan in a sedan.
It's compact, gets 25 miles per gallon at 400 horse. I can't complain with that.
Oh, wow. No, you cannot. That's cool.
What kind of torque are you thinking?
It's only going to be around like 3 to 4.
Really?
Yeah.
In a diesel, usually the torque is like more than the horsepower.
Well, in the Cummins, you have $3,000 to work with. I've got
True.
7.
Yeah, true. But even then, like the guys that are racing them, they're revving Cummins and Power Strokes out to like 7,000-8,000, or I don't know. That might be way too high, like 5,000 or 6,000 maybe. The torque is still like, oh yeah, it's like 1,000 horsepower. Oh, what's the torque? Like 5.
Yep.
But I don't know. I'm sure the displacement has a lot to do with that and the amount of boost.
So these are a dual overhead cam, and they're considered like the 2JZ of diesels.
Okay.
A lot of people put them in drift cars and go slide them.
I've never seen that. I would love to see a
That sounds cool.
small diesel drift car.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Black smoke and white smoke. It's something to see.
Okay.
That'd be very cool. I'd love to see that.
Do you think
That'd
we
be
can
awesome.
get the tires roasting in your Wagoneer and actually do some?
I've already done it.
So what you're saying is we need to get you at like the burn yard for Hoonigan with your rig.
It's still on leaf springs.
So
Gets to hopping.
the reason I say that, there's a
Little
guy that I've seen on that show. He's got a full-size Bronco with a very healthy, I think it's a Ford engine. I don't know. It might be an LS swap, but he full-wheel drive burnouts at the burn yard and just roasting the tires, and it's insane looking. So like if you could do it with your diesel, Mercedes diesel and a Jeep Wagoneer, that'd be a little bit more unique, in my opinion.
I'd say I'd attempt it.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, so the transmission going behind it's a 6L90.
okay.
So the third gear on that, I originally had a Turbo 400, and it was like, this just feels too much like a buggy, and I don't want a buggy feel. I'm driving it cross country. So now I'm in the middle of swapping the 6L90, and the third gear is like the first gear on the Turbo 400. So I'm hoping to have a lot more low end and then have the top end drivability with that.
Which you should, and from what I understand, and I'm not a transmission guy, so a transmission that has overdrive, usually the first gear is lower than so it's like a 700 R4 is going to have a lower first gear than a Turbo 350, which is, my father ended up doing a swap on his Jeep with dual cases. He went with a 700 R4 to get the lower first gear, to get the overall lower crawl ratio than a Turbo 350, which he had before. So that completely makes sense. Your crawl ratio is lower, and you have overdrive so that you can actually cruise it.
Yep.
So is that basically? I'm not saying it's a daily, but it's a driver that you can go cross country with and enjoy and wheel, like, what do they call it on Peterson's?
Ultimate Adventure.
Oh, it's like Ultimate Adventure. You can drive to it, wheel it. Really?
Yeah. So the whole goal behind it, and deployment really gave me the insight on this, is I want to be able to go off grid for up to a month at a time, be completely secluded and be self-sufficient. I was like, I need a vehicle to do this in. And so the Waggy's like the perfect one for that. It has all the room. It's 4 doors. I can throw a rooftop tent up on top, all my gear inside, and I can run off recycled oil or vegetable oil or whatever.
Have you tested that?
My buddy did in his. That was enough for me.
Was it not good?
No, it ran it perfectly fine.
Okay.
He literally did a video of him changing his oil and then going and pouring it back in the gas tank. So
I always wanted to do that just to smell like French fries going down the trail.
Yeah, I've thought about that too. What is it? Channing Tatum and in high school, the detectives.
Miami Vice.
No.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah,
I can't
but
think of the name.
they go back to high school for it's the second movie, I think.
He starts dating his daughter.
Yeah, and anyways, they roll up in the Camaro thinking they're all badass and stuff, and they roll up, and then you got all these like crunchy kids who are like, oh no, we actually run biodiesel. This is recycled vegetable oil from the burger shop, and they're like, what? That's cool now.
So after that, you've got that one complete. That build's complete now, right?
21 Jump Street. That's what it is. 21 Jump Street.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Miami
There you
Vice.
go.
That's right. So like, it's not done, but it is wheelable, correct, right now.
Not at the moment. So I started the transmission swap a couple months ago, and I actually did some trades with NTD Racing. They do Baja racing up in Colorado. They have a truck they built and went and did Baja. So I traded in my Turbo 400 for 3 6L90s and got home.
I need one.
You won't after I tell you this.
Okay. Well, okay, before you get into that, what's the difference between a 6L80 and a 6L90?
From my understanding, the output shaft is a 29 spline versus I think it's a 32 spline.
Okay.
So it's a little bit bigger diameter, and I think that's about it, really.
Now, are those two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive transmissions?
Yes,
The ones you have?
they were 2. I converted it to 4.
Yes. Okay. Well, I need one for a two-wheel drive for my 82 dually. So.
I have parts.
Oh, okay. So, all right. Now I'm really interested in this story.
So I drove all the way to Colorado, get back home, and not 2 days later, hadn't had a chance to unload them out of the back of my truck. They're strapped in, but a new teenage driver turned at a light, and I hit her head on. One transmission launched over the cab, 75 feet in front of me, laying on the road, broke the case, everything. The other 2, one of them was monster trucked by the trailer from the previous owner, but it had good internals. The case was already bad.
Okay.
The other one was a good case, good working transmission.
Oh man!
Both of them came through the cab. Cracked the case on the good one. So now I'm like, I've got one with cracked the bell housing on the one. One with the bad case, bad bell housing, the whole thing's toast. It's laying in the road. The other one was monster trucked over. Then the third one cracked bell housing. So I got lucky, found me a bell housing, put it all back together.
Did you do a Reed bell housing, like SFI bell housing, or?
No, I just went back stock. My thing is
Okay.
like everything in mine is some form of factory functioning part.
I forgot that the bell housing is separate. Like the Turbo 400s, you could cut the bell housing off, bolt on a SFI like Reed bell housing, and
Yep.
have an upgraded SFI spec bell housing and have it scatter shield. Forgot that the 6080s style cases
Yep.
have a separate bell housing. Okay, all right, that makes sense then.
So, yeah, I've got parts if you need parts.
Okay,
I
fair
could
enough.
probably build you a solid good one if you give me a case.
So you're waiting on a case now.
I just got it back together this past week.
No,
Okay.
he's got one that had a good case, but it had a bad bell housing. He got a bell housing to go on it.
Okay. All right.
Now, but he's got two others with bad cases.
I got
and
you.
bad
All
bell
right.
housings.
I was trying to follow
Yes.
that whole
Yeah.
thing. So,
Yeah.
And I'm not the most mechanically I do video. I
Yeah,
don't do.
yeah.
The first time I met him was at Ape's house, Aaron Peters, and I had talked to him online on. You've heard of Pirate Football before, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, like I said, you're a little bit younger. Like I was active on Pirate Football, I think, kind of in its heyday.
I wasn't active, but I always had it in the background of people around me talking
I had
about it.
I had the Yellow Star for years.
I paid for the Yellow Star a few years myself.
And he's coming over. We're prepping for KOH, and I was like, "Hey, Aaron. I've never met him. Like, what does he know?" He's like, "Oh yeah, he's been a mechanic, this and that." And so I was expecting something different than what
Showed up.
Showed up, because now, granted, yeah, he's smart. He's not dumb, but when Aaron told me you had been a mechanic, I was like, "Oh, okay, I got someone I can like throw things off of," and
not me.
it's not that kind of mechanic.
Believe it or not, I actually had my ASC certification in brakes and steering and suspension back in high school. I got it through Votech, through Moore Norman Votech. But then I took off to Branson, Missouri for 10 years to try to be a rock star, and I lost all of it. And
Blitzed.
so, yeah, it's gone. It's history. I still love the motors, and I still mess with it a little bit, but I want something that works. So I just don't. I mean, that's why I got that car, because I don't want to work on it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, I firmly believe in never buy a car from a mechanic.
Because it never gets worked on.
Yes, like you're always so fed up with working on everybody else's stuff. You do just the bare minimum to keep your stuff going, and I've actually seen that firsthand. Like,
I've went months with not even touching mine.
yeah,
Yeah.
I get home, it's like, oh, I did this all day. I don't want to mess with that.
like mechanics that are like the best in their field go out to like an old Honda that's running on 3 cylinders. They got to push start it down the hill, you know, and you're like, wait, that doesn't make sense. They're the best in their field, but they're driving that. They're like, screw it. It works
From point
just
A to-
good enough.
Point A to point B, back to point A.
Yep.
You know, that's all that matters. So you're in the process of rebuilding this Wagoneer, but I also know you have another vehicle, correct? What do you got going on there?
Yeah, I showed him a picture of your other rig, your beater. He said the one he said
what's
you
that?
didn't care about if it got.
Oh, yeah. So I've
ran
got
into
a
a tree.
TJ.
You had to
So-
think about that. Do you have more than 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, are you married?
Nope.
Girlfriend?
Nope.
Nah, that's
Okay,
why
that,
you got
that makes sense. All right.
So the TJ, I don't call it mine like it is, but it isn't. I bought it for Recoil Outdoor, my nonprofit that I run.
Which we'll get to that here in just a second, but I just want to hear about this one.
So you bought this after Recoil, or you bought it and then Recoil started?
I bought this after Recoil.
Okay, all right.
So I actually just bought it not even maybe a month and a half ago.
Okay.
So it's got a 350 TBI, MV 3500 5-speed, and a 241 with backbone 9-inch, chrome ollies. What's in the front?
30, 44.
I think it's 44 RCVs.
Okay.
That sounds bulletproof.
Essentially.
What size tires?
Yeah.
40-inch traps.
Not bulletproof.
True.
Exactly.
No, like if it was 35s, fairly bulletproof. 40, are they stickies?
No.
Oh,
I wish.
but still, 40s and a Daniel 44. I don't care what's done to it. Not bulletproof.
No, and believe it or not, in my little YJ that I owned, I had an 89 YJ.
That
I
he
had a
never
Dana-
wheeled the entire time I've known him.
because the motor was blown on it.
Not my fault.
Just swap it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's when I used to
And
work and
the
actually be a
weirdest-
mechanic.
the-
I couldn't afford
The
it.
craziest
Yeah.
name, like the most creative name you've ever heard of. The Jeep was blue and yellow, and he named it,
Blue yellow.
and it was on the hood.
Oh yeah,
So
it was on
original.
if you talk to the old school guys at S'more, Southern Missouri Off Road Ranch, that's where I cut my teeth wheeling. Was up there in
Okay.
Missouri, and actually a friend of mine actually bought blue yellow, and he's rebuilding it. He put it on 1 tons already. It's got 49s on it, and he's putting a what they call a Bastard LS in it. You guys may know what I'm talking about, but I don't.
Never heard that.
But he says it's apparently a LS motor that's not really popular, and they're supposed to be rebuilding that motor, putting it in
So
there.
4.8.
I don't know. I'll-
Different heads, a different cam or something.
Well,
I don't know.
like the only one I could see is not popular in the off-roading world, anyways, would be a 4.8. But I want a 4.8 because they're not as desirable. They make just a little bit less than a 5.3, and the same parts go on them, and they rev a little bit higher, and I don't mind that.
I'll have to talk to my
I
buddy
don't
that
know.
bought
That's
it.
interesting.
And, the owner of S'more, and my buddy came down, and they bought it, throw it on a trailer. I was kind of in desperate need for some money. I didn't have a job at the time. Got laid off from my 15-year job. Got laid off.
He worked 3 days a year for
Yeah.
15 years.
That's about right. It was a great job, but anyway, I
Maybe
had to
4
sell that.
days. I don't want to understate
6
it.
on my last year. But anyway,
Yeah, legit 6 days in a year and got
Golly.
paid salary.
we'll talk about that off camera.
All right.
It was a great job. I was like, how do I get into that
Yeah.
industry?
But anyway, so I sold it to him, and he's ripped it out. He's 4-linked it, put 1 tons on it right now, and they're working on the engine. I haven't talked to him in a while. Mr. McLaughlin, he's a friend of mine. Laughlin, not McLaughlin, Laughlin. But he's supposed to get it all together, and then I get the maiden voyage on it at S'more, and
Heck
it'll be a recovery vehicle once that happens.
Heck yeah.
So
Have
but
you,
yeah.
ever, have you ever been to S'more?
It's on the list.
I haven't. Multiple members of my family have, and before not Crossbar, sorry,
Mid America.
Mid America came around, S'more was the best
Yep.
off-road park as
Yeah.
far as amenities and everything.
It's only 930 acres, but they've added so many trails there. Brandon Powell's a really good friend of mine.
Well, and
we
they're
talk a lot.
they're tough. Like it's not like let's go run the entire park in a day.
Bunny slopes.
Yeah,
it's
no, this is
it's like
Cheap Trick,
have you
Tyndall Hill.
have you been
There's
to
some-
Clayton, Green Acres,
Back when it was OG Clayton, not
which it was still tough,
a little
but
bit.
kind of like that. Like you're running the whole park in maybe multiple weekends, and that's if you don't break.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but anyway, S'more, that's where I cut my teeth wheeling. I started out there. I was the first one to break through the gate on accident. I was supposed to do, I didn't tell you this, I probably didn't. I had an old 1990 GMC Bandura van.
You talk about the gate that they close at night.
No. This is the entrance to the gate. It was just whenever I went, it was just a cable.
Oh,
And they didn't put, it was like dirt colored. And so I pulled up and I was
So it
like,
was invisible.
"Hey, I can get in. I was the first one there because the club, Ozark Jeep thing, we were doing a trail building that day. Now I had my Jeep on the trailer. It was a Trailer Queen. I had the GMC Bandura. That's where I slept in and everything. I pulled right in and that cable ripped off my antenna, went over the van, ripped off the luggage rack, everything. And I finally broke it.
At
But-
least it didn't decapitate you.
No, it didn't. It went over and over.
Final Destination.
Yeah, that's like something in like an old like Dukes of Hazzard movie or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
where like a car drives underneath the tractor trailer and it takes the entire roof off, and then it'll go be like,
Yeah.
"Daddy, what happened?"
We'll have to talk to. We'll get Brandon on the podcast sometime to talk about that because that was when he wasn't the complete owner of it. Now he's the one. He's the sole owner of it now. Well, Rob's a silent owner, but yeah, I drove in there and I was the first one to break the gate, and they blame it on me. Now there's like this huge ranch gate that says S'more with bars and everything. He's like, we did that for you.
And apparently at night, like at a certain time, dusk, sundown, whatever, the gates are closed. You're
Midnight.
not going in. You're not going out. So if you forget something, like sorry.
Yeah, if you go out night wheeling, they close the gates at either 10 or midnight.
Well,
and they just don't want you driving through
Technically,
there.
it's no night wheeling. I thought.
They say technically no night wheeling, but they close the gates. But if you're
Yes.
out there, You just have to park the Jeeps on the outside of the gate, climb
okay.
through, and then go to bed. But they just don't want it driving through the RV spot because it's a family-oriented deal, and they just don't want. They want everybody to sleep, kind of deal. They want to keep
They
it
got
quiet.
great bathhouses and showers and great hookups. Like
A car wash?
No, they do not. But the sad thing is, Mid-America has a car wash.
So I heard they had like wash bays, or at least like hoses laid out that you can
Free,
go.
high-speed power
insane.
washers for free. Now, and I just went out there, and we could talk about my failure if we want to. I just went out there about a month ago. Travis Pastrana announced that he was doing a practice session at Mid-America Off-Road.
because they were about to start their new tour for Nitro Circus.
For Nitro Circus. I was like, heck yeah, I'll go out there. So I jump in. A friend of mine jumps in my car. And speaking of which, he's like 6'5", 300 pounds. We shoehorned him into my car because I got better gas mileage than his Jeep.
Wow.
So we drove up there.
Even with him in it?
So
Sorry to
We got-
his friend.
we got up there, and as soon as we pull into the gates, I call Alan Johnson, which is one of the big. He's like one of the head
He
mofos in
oversees
charge
like
of Ultra 4.
social media, and it manages all kinds of stuff that they have.
I've talked to him a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
Alan's a good dude, but I call Alan. I'm like, hey, Alan, where's this north gate? And he says, it's canceled. And I went, the north gate's canceled? He goes, no, there's too much rain, so they're not going to do the practice session. I was like, dude, I drove 3.5 hours. Come on. And he's like, I'll tell you where the north gate is. So he sent me that, and then they let everybody come in, and we went into the shop, which you've been to, Jay, haven't you?
I still have not.
Oh my gosh. They have a
I know,
shop.
it's unfortunate.
They have a shop that's like 4,000 square feet. It's got a bar, pool table. I've seen 2 monster trucks in it. It's that big. And Travis and all of his buddies were there and just signed autographs and talked to you. So that's what I did with this hat for Territory. So, but anyway, J Off-Road, Mid-America Off-Road, it's beginning to rival Austin, the F1 track there.
Yeah.
It's getting that good. There was
It's insane.
I drove on 4 miles of asphalt before I even saw the park. It's unreal. There's banners everywhere. They've probably got 400. They got like 400 camping spots. They've got cabins. They have bathroom cabins and
they
dry
have
cabins.
Wet and dry cabins.
And then they've got 2 pools, a lazy river, an amphitheater, short course, obstacle course, mini bike course, coconut steakhouse. I mean, it's a destination. It's
a
so
power
cool.
sports parts house.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's a
pro shop.
dealership, but it's a part.
It's a pro,
at least
pro
a part
shop.
of it.
Basically,
Yeah.
is what it is. A pro shop. And then if you want to, let's say I'm a big Keystone drinker, as everybody knows, and so it's a big Keystone. I'm a big Keystone drinker, so I walked up to the pro shop. And I'm like, I'm sure I'm going to pay like $7 or $8, more. And then sure enough, same price as the gas station. So it's pretty cool.
Easy
All right.
enough.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and take a break. Take a pee break.
Yep. I was about to say that, but I love that area.
All right, we took a pee break and decided to sit back and relax and talk a little bit. Then we jumped back on here. We just got the heater running again and had the cat run through here. Ah, gee, many Christmas.
Archer chasing the cat. I had to
Yeah.
shock him with his training collar. He loves all animals, but it's like the guy that Night at the Roxbury, where they're like, oh, that girl, and they start just dancing on the girl. Archer just my
Wants
German
to
Shepherd
dance on a cat?
can kind of overwhelm other animals. So he saw the cat ran in, and he just ran after it. I'm like, oh, he's gonna knock over a camera. So I got him under control real quick.
Yeah, so if the camera angles are a little bit different, that's why. So,
Yeah, it's, Archer's fault.
but now it's
dare
time
you.
to help and talk about. Yeah, let's go ahead and start that over. Let's go ahead and talk about our sponsor. They've been with us for almost a year, and it's Territory Whiskey.
Well, they've been with us for almost a year, but we've been doing this the entire time I've been here, which has been about a year.
Yeah, that's right. I think we did 2 podcasts, and I was talking about trying to get Territory Whiskey involved with us. I sent him a one of our podcasts that we were talking about it, just a short, and he said, "Meet me at the horse track, and we'll make a deal." And I said, "Okay." So I met him at the horse track. He has a horse named Grippin' and Grinnin', and he said, "Bet on that horse, and it's a deal." So we bet on the horse. It lost. But we made the deal. So Jamie Howard, good friend, he comes out to some of our parties here at our studio in our shop.
Yeah,
and
he's pretty local, right?
yeah, he's local. We're in Noble, He's based out of Purcell. It is bottled in Hollywood, Florida, but it's a liqueur. It's a pecan cinnamon liqueur.
It's an original bourbon liqueur.
Yep. So.
They're on batch 3 now. So
Yeah.
I've had batch 1. I've seen batch 2 bought.
That's batch 4.
Batch 4. Okay. So, that's something interesting that on the bottle, if you can see it in the camera, it actually says what batch it is, and I don't know like if anything's changed in there, but
I believe he's on batch 6 right now.
okay. But
So-
it's just interesting that they're actually saying, I don't know how big the batches are built, but it actually tells you what batch you have, which kind of gives you an idea of when it was actually made.
Yeah, so you got to go to territorywhiskey.com to figure out where they are distributed. He's big in Wyoming, Montana area. He's also pretty big. He's really pushing hard in the Norman, Oklahoma City metro area. But you get a shot, and you also get to take home one of these bottles.
Heck
and
yeah.
for a big thanks from everybody. So let's take a drink, and I want to know exactly what you think of it. All right.
All right.
There we go.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Here's to off-road.
Yes, sir.
So smooth.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I like that.
So give me your
Lots of cinnamon.
sommelier. I don't know whatever wine people do.
It's
What do
got a
you-
lot of cinnamon and pecan. Like, definitely taste that.
But
There's not
what I
much-
tell people, it's not like a fireball.
No.
It's not a. Ooh,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
it's
have
like
heartburn.
It's a
tomorrow.
Thanksgiving whiskey.
Thanksgiving. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
yeah.
base that with my turkey.
Actually, mine. I'm gonna inject it.
That's actually a good idea. I got the smoker outside. We can do that this
I
weekend.
still need to teach you how to smoke properly.
Oh my gosh! All right.
It seriously smells like pecan pie. I
Yes. What I've told people is it doesn't say vanilla anywhere on the description, but it has a vanilla hint, flavor, scent. I don't know.
And
Yeah.
and the other one to compare it to kind of is Screwball, but it's
Well,
not.
Screwball's a peanut butter, and I
Yeah.
love peanut butter whiskeys. I actually prefer. There's one called. It's got a dog on it. Old Blue or Blue. Screwball. There's one that's cheaper than that I prefer, and it's smooth. This is really smooth. I prefer it warm. If you get it cold, a lot of people like it cold. It's a little syrupy for me.
Yeah.
It'd be great for mixed drinks cold, but I like it room temp.
Yeah.
It doesn't make me like have to like breathe fire
Yeah,
after I
exactly.
swallow it. You know, that's
But-
what I really like.
My girlfriend mixes it with Sprite.
Okay.
I've mixed it with Coke and a lime, and it kind of tastes like a Tootsie Roll.
I thought
some
about doing
ideas.
it, mixing it with Dr. Pepper. It'd probably be like a peanut butter cup kind
Yeah,
of thing,
exactly.
or a candy bar kind of flavor.
I'm
But-
a Dr. Pepper guy.
Dr. Pepper. Yeah, you came in with a bottle of Dr. Pepper. So.
Yeah, Jack and Dr. Pepper is my go-to.
Ooh,
Gotcha.
you actually came in with a Dr. Pepper cream soda. That'd probably be really good.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
actually a good idea. Yeah. So thank you, Jamie Howard. Thank you, Territory Whiskey. Check them out, territorywhiskey.com. You can look in the show notes. It's in that. But let's get back to
They
the.
also have some really cool looking merch, like
Oh,
his
yeah.
hat.
My hat. And it's actually signed by Travis Pastrana and All Nitro Circus.
So, Jamie, send us some merch. I need a shirt, shirts, hat, all that stuff.
Plural.
You know, the funny story about this is the first night I met him, we were up at a dive bar up here in Noble. It's called the Hilltop. And we were there specifically for this tasting. They're like, try this, you'll get free whiskey. So we went up there. And I thought he was just, the guy that was behind the counter was just somebody that he hired to give tastings. No, he was actually the owner. And I bugged him for like 45 minutes. And so did my girlfriend about, I want your hat. I'll pay for it. I don't care. I want the hat. And
and that was the hat he was wearing.
no, he actually had it. He was going to give it away.
Oh, okay.
And he was going to, he was like, I can't take money for it. This is because of apparently laws and stuff like that. So anyway, he ended up giving it to me. And then that's how I finally connected with him, because I sent him a message on Facebook and was like, I was the guy that did this. And so I got this free hat. And then he gave us a couple free T-shirts. You guys drank out of the Territory
So
shot glasses.
you got free T-shirts. I didn't get
I know.
shit.
I'll work on it. Jamie, help a guy
Come
out.
on, Jamie. Come on.
But and we need to get him on the podcast. Every time I talk to him, he was going to come over for well, when we were really going and blowing with the podcast, he was going to come over and just hang out and do like a 15, 20-minute set, something like that. And he just hasn't made it. He's either been in Montana, Wyoming, or he's doing tastings here in town. And so he just hadn't been able to
You
make
can
it.
tell him I'll do a tasting for him.
Okay.
I'll figure out someone's house to do it at.
Yeah, Michelle has been... Michelle's done a couple of them for him
Okay.
at some of the liquor stores. And so,
Because you messaged me asking if I'd be interested, and like totally, I am I am invested in this. I have bought bottles specifically to take to friends' houses. Like, here, try this. Tell me what you think.
Yeah.
And nobody has said they didn't like it.
exactly. No. So anyway, thank you again, Jamie. Thank you, Territory Whiskey. Check them out, territorywhiskey.com. Now, let's get back into the podcast and into
The
the
reason
off-road.
why we're actually here.
Yes. Now, you own a company.
No, not a company.
Okay. Tell us what you own.
Right.
How about that?
Well,
Engine and motors. Who
Well,
cares?
no, it's like okay. Well, actually, I'm not sure. Is it a company,
I mean,
or do you specifically?
it's a corporation.
There we go. Okay, corporation, but it's a nonprofit, right?
Yes,
Okay.
501c3 nonprofit.
Sounds very official.
What's it called?
Yes. Recoil Outdoor.
Okay.
So the basis behind it really is just getting veterans behind the wheel of off-road capable rigs. Whether this is weekend wheeling or going out for events or a week-long trip to Moab or Colorado. Really just anywhere we can get out on the trail.
And the idea is for the veteran not to actually own the off-road vehicle. It's going to be
All
supported.
expenses paid. You bring sleep gear for camping, your necessities, and here's you everything else. So food,
Wow.
fuel, vehicle, the whole nine. If you've never been behind the wheel of a Jeep and we're going to hit some pretty serious stuff, day one we'll give you a 101 class. And then we have spotters in between that'll help you throughout.
Okay. Now, before we get really in depth with it, how does a veteran, which I am not, you two are, how does a veteran get in touch to actually sign up for this, or at least try to get into it and be with you guys?
So there's a few different ways. We would have both a Facebook page and a Facebook group at Recoil Outdoor. Both of them are titled the same. You can also shoot me a message, text me anytime, call me anytime. Phone number is 580-540-0633.
I'll put that up on the.
I'm actually
right there.
looking it up right now so
Go
people
for
can
it.
see that. Forgot we're in a black hole of your studio.
I think you have the Wi-Fi.
I do, but
Anyway, keep on going.
Keep
Figure
going.
it out.
Email is recoilteam@recoiloutdoor.org. And then we are working on a website, hoping to have it up within the next month, and it's recoiloutdoor.org.
Okay. So it's supposed to be up in the next month. So this podcast will sit on here forever.
so
So-
Recoil Outdoor, right?
Yep,
All
that's
right.
it. That's
so
the page.
that is the top. I searched it. It is I'm assuming the cameras can see this, the very top of the search. So I hadn't followed it at this point. I am now following it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Another way you can get in touch is we're starting our first monthly meet and greets / like cars and coffee kind of deal called Mochas and Mud at Lost Lakes Adventure Park in Midwest City.
So
So-
you're working with the Skeens.
Yes.
Yes. They're some good guys, man.
Yes, they are.
I've done some videos for them on their wakeboard park.
Okay.
And we had a drone video there done by Channel 4 or Channel 5.
Yeah.
It was actually it was a blast. But Trent
Yeah.
Skeen, Trent's the one I dealt with. So
Didn't they
Okay.
just reopen? Or I thought, were they
I don't
closed
know.
down?
I haven't literally that 48 or 46 special, whatever it was, the old school 70s band. They had a concert there, and that was the last time I was there, which was like
Okay.
6-7 years. That's where the gathering of the Juggalos was.
Yes, I remember that.
Okay, that's the same place.
Well, and so I remember it was just a straight wakeboarding park. You're right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. They've got a cable park there.
And then they opened it up as like also an off-road park.
Well,
Like
they
something
yeah.
like that, right?
Well, see, there's the wakeboarding park, and then they put a big in between the wakeboarding park and another lake. They put a big amphitheater there, and that's where they had 38 or 48 special. 38 special, I think. Is who
38
it was.
special, yeah.
They had 38 special there. The Gathering of the Juggalos, where they could camp there and everything else. And then they had there's a lake over there, and they put a slide in, a
Are
swing,
you thirsty?
and then they put
Got a haunted house.
they got that. They had the haunted house.
Yeah, I
and
remember
then
that.
I went out and looked for Buzz the Red Dog 2013. I actually went out there and drove through all their trails out there to see if they were good enough for Dirt Riot or Buzz the Red Dog.
Okay.
So that's how I know the schemes.
Was it?
It was short. It would be a short course deal if we were going to do it, and it was really, really tight. We were going to have to open it up,
Okay.
and then I really, literally could not get enough funding to have people out there to do it, so we didn't deal with it.
I'll say this. So Roger and Garrett, they're working diligently on opening up a lot of stuff out there and getting
Garrett schemes.
a lot of stuff done. I can't go into details, but just say that event being hosted monthly there will open up a lot more stuff at that location.
And it's like a cars and coffee kind of feel.
Mocha and coffee.
Mocha
okay.
and mud.
Mocha and mud.
Now,
Ah.
here's one
Now
of the issues.
they have access to the river as well.
The North Canadian.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's one of my issues with cars and coffee events. They're early in the morning, and I say early. They're like normal people morning. I don't sleep well, or I guess I have more of an issue of getting to sleep. Once I fall asleep, I'm fine. But man, those events are like, oh yeah, it's 8 to 10 a.m. I'm like, man, come on, let's push this back a little bit. Like, can we like start at noon? You know, I don't know. Also, like, you
What
get
time is Mocha's and mud?
8 to 11.
No, you're still screwed.
man, you know you're okay. Know your audience. You're dealing with veterans. A lot of them. I mean, no offense to anybody out there, but we like to enjoy certain things, and we may have.
No, sleep is one of them. Let's just say that.
Yes. Okay. So
It's
we
selfish.
might enjoy our sleep later into the day.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can extend the hours or push it back a little bit, but it's something to think about.
Man, I got to say the grind doesn't stop. So I'm up bright and early.
I mean, okay.
Every day.
I don't need to make another non-infantry joke, but
I got to work on helicopters. So
well, you weren't in the helicopter shooting at stuff.
yeah.
Because at least those guys can say, "Well, we almost did the same thing you did." Like, no, you didn't.
God, here we go.
I just got to help make them fly.
But hey,
What kind of helicopter did
it's
you
cool
work on?
stuff.
Blackhawks, Chinooks, and Apaches. So I was powertrain. I tore down rotor heads and transmissions, worked with bearings and seals.
Did you now here's another guy you may know. Mike Berry.
I don't
No?
think so.
No, he worked on Blackhawks probably before your time maybe because he's my age. He's 45.
Can you tell everybody what the other name is for a Chinook?
Shit hook?
I'm like, oh, that's a shit hook. People are like, it's a what? I'm like, oh, it's a Chinook, but it's a shit
Yeah,
hook.
the mechanics are hookers.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. You walk in their office, it's red light district right up the top of their door.
Did you know that a Chinook was called a shit hook?
I did not.
Yeah.
No.
And now you'll see one because south of us is the Lexington Aviation
They always fly
National
around
Guard facility, and there's Chinooks flying and Blackhawks all the time. You will never look at one now and be like, "Oh, that's a Chinook." Every time they be like, "Oh, look, there's another shit hook."
It's just natural.
Yeah.
It just happens.
I think sometimes military names, especially acronyms, are like underhandedly adult.
Yes.
Nice. I mean, watch SpongeBob SquarePants. It's the same everywhere.
Did you ever work on like Little Birds?
Man, we had so I was the first class to not get taught on the OH-58
Oh, okay.
before they took it away. And then they came out with another one. And I may have the names different, but there's one now that's Sikorsky helicopter, but it's a civilian bird.
Okay.
And it's an observation bird that we can't touch unless you have an AMP.
Okay.
So I never got to work on them, but they're basically a miniature Black Hawk.
So the reason I ask is those guys did a bunch of work for us where we were at over in Central Asia.
Yep.
South Central Asia. But we had Air Weapons Team and Scout Weapons Team. So SWT were those little birds. And man, those guys, they would get rid of all their ordnance and go. They're like, hey, we're Winchester, but man, hold on, we're gonna use the sidearms. And those guys would literally hang out the co-pilot would hang out the door with their rifle or their pistol and continue firing until they use all of their ammo. They're like, okay, we got to go resupply. We'll be back. Like they were. Winchester means you're out of ammo. When they were Winchester, they were legit Winchester. Like they had nothing on them. Even if they crashed, they were just out there in the woods. They would hang out the door, continue shooting, supporting us. Anybody out there that's a AWT, SWT pilot, chief, I don't know what terms to use because I was not aviation.
Crew chief.
But if you were on one of those birds, man, like you're a godsend. Same with any close air support. Thank you, love you. You did great work. Make great your great appearances in any videos because man, you make the scene. You are the star. So thank you very much.
Okay, now back to it.
Back to why we're here.
Recoil Outdoors. We already talked about how they can contact you. What do you've got the Mocha and Mud coming up. Do you have a date on that yet?
December 9th.
December 9th will be the first one, and that's at Lost Lakes. Do you happen to know the address on it?
Or at least the city?
It's right
in
off
Midwest
of
City.
Yeah, well, it's
Okay.
right off of 10th and I-35 in Oklahoma City.
Now, is there an entry fee?
No.
Okay.
No,
Nope.
it's
Totally free, open to the public. The goal here is to just make a presence, and if you're a volunteer, want to know more about the organization, and you just want to chat, like just come hang out. It's not gonna be anything huge. Just come hang out, bring your trail rig, and
So at the
chit-chat
time
and-
of this filming, it is next Saturday.
yes,
Okay.
So in a week from now, essentially.
Okay, so that means I got to have this out by Monday. Okay.
Or at
good.
least this clip.
Okay, I can do that. I can make that happen.
And I need to figure out my sleep cycle so I can be there. Well, if Abby wakes up at like 7 o'clock, my stepdaughter
she
over
can
here,
wake
she
up.
wakes up at like 6 or 5 sometimes religiously. I don't care if she like didn't sleep the night before, which is, I don't think you've ever not slept. She's in a very hard cycle. She's like an old miner, you know. She'll wake me up. She'll take me because she loves this stuff. She hasn't been in the Jeep enough off road, and I feel sorry for that because she loves it, and I want to bring her out to it more. Same with my wife and my other daughter. But there's a reason why Abby's here because she loves this. Like seriously, she listens to this religiously and bugs me. Like I need to give her your number so she can bug you about when the next podcast is because she is probably the number one fan.
I would probably agree with that. So, yeah, Abby, you're good. So, and then on top of that, you've got is that going to be like a monthly event? Is that what you're
yeah,
planning
it'll
on?
be monthly. Just basically like a Cars and Coffee. Roger and Garrett have both graciously opened their doors to the restaurant for hot chocolate, coffee, and breakfast.
You
All
know,
attendees.
is that at charge or free or how does that work?
I'm sure the restaurant will charge whatever they need to charge.
Just so everybody knows what to expect.
Yep.
And it's December 9th.
Yes.
Correct. Okay, cool. So 1 week from today, which is this Friday night. So I'll get it out.
Is that rain or shine?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
It is
I
off
gotta hold
road.
myself to it now.
I'll tell you. I mean, it is off road. It's like, man, I'm an off road racer, but I don't want to race in the mud. Go back to California.
Yeah, exactly.
For everybody that's on Rocksport Insiders, I think there's a lot of those guys like, oh, come over here. I don't want to race in the mud. Like,
I think that was an immediate jab at Lauren Healy. Speaking of which,
oh, actually, that is a good segue. Could you do me a favor and grab that
that old GoPro right there,
that old GoPro?
next to the moonshine.
It's a beloved GoPro, though.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Now,
Old GoPro.
now
It is.
You've watched an episode of this before, right?
Yeah.
He watched the crossbar one.
Did you see where we brought the? Oh, really?
No, I
did you
didn't.
edit it out, or
No,
you just didn't pay
I
attention? Or
did. I
something?
did shorts on it, man.
Man, it's been a minute.
So
like when you guys first
hold
did
it up to the camera, so everybody. This is the GoPro that Lauren Healy donated to Alan after all of his stuff was stolen.
It didn't really get stolen. It got. I left the tailgate down and it fell out of the back of the truck.
So it got disappeared and or acquired. So we need Lauren to sign it, and so that way it's now an official piece of
Lauren
history.
Haley history.
Yeah.
And we will give it away.
Yeah, we're just going to give it away for fun and have some fun with it. He had that back when he was rock racing with XRA, and he handed it to me. He goes, "Man, I know you lost all your stuff. Here, hey, take this." And at that point in time, that was 2012, 2013. So that was relatively new GoPro.
I just had an idea.
What's that?
Instead of giving it away,
Yeah.
maybe we could work that into a fundraiser for Recoil Off-Road.
Hey, or Recoil Outdoors.
Recoil Outdoors.
Yeah, that's a good possibility.
That'd be cool.
And maybe we can get Lauren to come on board with it, because I'm sure Lauren thinks, because I've tried to get it signed by kids, women, in person. I've tried everything, and Lauren refuses to sign it because it's me.
For whatever reason, we have still yet to get an answer.
So-
Does it work?
I never even tried it, to be honest, because after
That's
he
not
gave,
the point.
Yeah,
You could get everybody to take pictures on your podcast, and then get him to sign it. Whoever has it literally has all of that footage.
Ooh, that's not a bad
but there's no SD. There was no SD card in it when he gave it to me.
Dang it.
Yeah. He lost one at KOH one year, and it sat out there the whole year. And then Mean Gene Mooningham, Easy Pops, found it the next year while setting up the new course. And Will Gentile actually has that footage. And he put it out. It's on YouTube.
How
Of
long-
his epic, 6 tumble in the old...
okay.
In the old
I don't
Jimmy's
recall that.
car.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, it's actually really cool. But anyway, Mean Gene found it a year after KOH, after he rolled it, found it a year after while setting up the next year's course.
And it still works?
And it still, he got the SD card. I don't know if it still works.
Well,
but,
at least the SD card works.
But anyway, this is an old one from XRA days
What's that,
that
like
he
a
gave me.
GoPro 3?
I think
One,
I think
two?
that's a Hero 1.
It's a hero.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it's a
okay.
Hero 1.
It is. It's just the hero.
But yeah, so every podcast we try to get Lauren to get this to sign, and he never does.
What was the
it.
last
Do
response
it.
you got? You actually got a hold of him and
No, actually, Brian Trotter.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Well, Trotter sent him a text on the podcast, and he read the podcast.
immediately got a response.
And it said, if it's for O'Neill, hell no.
What I don't get is if Trotter would have said no, it's for me.
He
what
probably would
have
have done
happened?
it. I don't know.
Hell yeah. Here
Thanks.
you go.
Thanks, Trotter.
That'd be
So-
sweet.
But anyway, that's the story on that little one. I actually have another one somewhere, and it's this one over here, and that actually came from another good friend of mine, Cookie. I traveled with Cookie for a long
Travis
time.
Cook?
Travis Cook, he's a big part of Ultra 4 USA and King of the Hammers. But he gave me that one same time. But
Well,
that one's Lauren's.
Maybe Lauren. Maybe you'll change your mind if it's supporting veterans. I don't know. That's my spin on it. So
We would definitely appreciate it.
Yeah. No, so maybe I can make it work with him. Maybe I'll send him this clip, because I talked to him the other day because he had a fake account on Facebook, and he's like, yeah, report it, please.
no, he didn't have. Somebody else had a fake
Yeah,
account with his name.
Yeah,
Okay.
so-
Unless he had a fake account to post something to Rock Sports Insiders or
yeah.
something. My
So-
new Bronco is not mine. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, disregard that. I was trying to be clever and it did not work.
So now you have the Mocha and Mud coming up December 9th, Oklahoma City. Now you have another event coming up, which is how you and I got in touch. You were asking for an announcer. Me and him, we got to talking. That's where we ended up here tonight. Tell us more about the event that you're planning coming up in the future.
So it's going to be our first annual Dirt Fest. Obstacle course. We were going to do some barrel racing, but it turns out the location for it's not the right idea for it. But we're targeting side-by-sides, full-size, whatever you got. Buggies, come out, timed obstacle course, treasure hunt, overlanding competition, vendors,
Maybe hide and seek.
maybe some hide and seek if we can make it work.
I threw out an idea of what we used to do at Little Sahara when I was a kid.
Hide and seek. That actually sounds fun. I never even thought about that with off-road.
I hadn't either.
We used to do it at the dunes, and it's a core memory I have of my off-roading growing up, and I would like to do it again, and we're gonna see what we can do.
Heck yeah.
Cool. But tell us more about it. You got a location set yet?
We don't have a location yet. It's still to be determined. We're about 98% sure it's going to be a crossbar
With Trotter.
with Trot and Justin Ramsey.
Justin Ramsey. Those are good friends of the podcast.
We've had them on. Yeah.
Yeah. We've
Go
had
watch.
them on
That was
a couple ones before.
couple episodes ago. So,
Yeah, I think we did them, and then we did Mara.
So
Mara
if
Safety.
you're not sure about who they are, go back on the channel, find that, and watch that. It's a good one.
There's a whole bunch of shorts on it as well.
Okay.
Back when Trotter was talking to Lauren Healy about not signing my GoPro. But anyway.
Dang you.
But and what about a time frame, dates?
About mid-April. We're still looking at dates, but we're thinking it's going to be like April 14th and 15th, Saturday and Sunday. Come hang out Friday. We'll do something little. Then Saturday's main event, obstacle course. Run what you brung. Bring a buggy. Bring your mom's Prius. I don't care.
You have
We'll put it on-
classes or just run what you brung?
We're gonna have classes.
Okay.
So we don't want side by sides run with full size and
Right.
that sort of thing. So yeah, we're gonna have classes and everybody will have first, second place trophies. Working on some partners and so
And everything is profit goes to.
everything goes towards Recoil Outdoor
Okay.
and support of this event and getting veterans behind the wheel.
Okay.
So is this event going to have veterans behind the wheel? Is that the hope?
Actually, the TJ will have a veteran behind the wheel.
Okay.
I am putting my own. Recoil is putting their Jeep with a veteran behind it in the competition.
Okay.
So I'm still working on details, but we're going to sponsor a veteran to get into the event and go race and have fun.
Okay. I like the idea of that.
How does one veteran get a chance to do that? Are you going to have like a contest? Or are you going to do, or is it going to be a random draw kind of thing? Or have you thought that far yet?
Like a
Haven't
wrestling
thought that far
match?
yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just
'cause-
know that. So we've got a list of people that veterans that are like, hey, I want it in the program. I want to know what it's about. I either want to go through the program or want to help. And we'll probably reach out to that list first, and
Okay.
then go from there.
Now, I mentioned trying to get into the program, and what is the program specifically? Just get guys behind the wheel, or
It's recreational outdoor therapy.
Okay.
So to really dive into details and a little bit of a backstory, I got home from deployment, and I know there's guys way worse off than I am, and that's what.
Hey, don't say that. Like, I hate that term because yes, there are, but you get back home from a deployment, you're back home from a deployment. It's very similar. I don't like the term worse or better because you're still back home from a deployment. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. There's guys that, myself included, that needed a program to help me transition back, to civilian life. So the Wagoneer really helped me with that.
Mm-hmm.
So getting back into the off-road industry provided me a way to cope and a way to get away from all the intrusive thoughts,
It allows you to focus on something that you enjoy.
I'll be honest, I sank $14,000 into a motorcycle on deployment, got home, rode it 3 times and sold it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of going fast. I was going to kill myself on the thing, and I just, I sold it for a boat, or traded it for a boat, sold the boat, and then got the Wagoneer. And honestly, like off-road, to me, just being out in the outdoors, seeing the scenery, the camaraderie, the family, it's a lot slower pace depending on what side of the off-road you're in.
Yeah.
But you really have to pay attention to what you're doing. It's not like you're doing, as a good friend of mine says, roll racing at 3 a.m. on the freeway.
Now, before you deployed, would you ever have thought you could have connected therapy to rock crawling?
Not at all.
Yeah, and I don't think most people do, but I mean, you think of yoga or anything that you have to focus into and think about and really trust the process. I mean, going up a trail in a vehicle that you're guiding is definitely that type of experience.
And what I like about it is you're not focused about anything else in life. You're in the moment. You're like, which line's
can't.
next? Looking for the two steps ahead on your lines and making sure you're setting yourself up right.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, at the end of the day, you're sitting around the campfire with your buddies, drinking a beer, and don't even think about everything else that when you're staying at home by yourself. Let me down this bottle. Let me, just sit here in bed, not do anything for days at a time. Like, I've went through that. I've sat at home and, like, not even gotten out of bed, not even to brush my teeth. Like, it sucks.
I definitely know that feeling. As I said earlier, this is my first time really out of the house this week, I think. Yeah. For whatever reason. I don't know the reasons for why things are the way they are sometimes, but the ability to come even talk about off-roading does something for my well-being that is better overall.
It's that unspoken kind of vibe you get from off-roading. I mean,
Well,
you don't even have
it's
to.
also kind of you got an old military buddy like, hey, you want to go out, have dinner, hang out, and there's guys that I've hung out with that I haven't talked to in years. Old wrestling buddies, old wheeling buddies, old military buddies, and something about guys that you can pick up with the same as you left off years ago, and it's the same thing again. And the same thing seems to happen similar to off-roading world and military.
Yep, absolutely.
And I think that's a good thing. It's not worried about past or present. You're more worried about in the now. And hey, what do you need? Let's get it done. Let's make it happen. Let's do it.
Yep, and I don't want to become some bureaucratic program that the VA offers either. I'd seriously just like you're going through some shit.
Well, it'll take
hop
8
in.
months to figure out where you're going to go wheeling at.
Yeah,
If you're lucky.
yeah. But there's a lot of guys too that just don't know what off-roading is. And I've got a couple buddies who are like, man, if I got home and I knew what off-roading was and how to get into it, there's no way I'd be where I'm at now. I would have had, steps doing other stuff and not sat at home like we did,
Well, I'll say that, while I was in Afghanistan, I kept up with as much as I could with somewhat limited access to the internet and limited hours and time on the computer. I was still on Powerful before when I could, but it might go weeks at a time without it. But I would still talk about stuff to other guys I was there with and show them videos and stuff. And man, guys were like, "Oh wow, you do that? Like this is awesome. That's crazy, man. I think when I go home, I want to do this. I want to do that. And it gets them thinking. But they get home and they don't have that outlet. They don't maybe have the guidance, have the knowledge, know where they can do it at. You end up running the river on people's property you're not supposed to be on or doing stuff stupid, Excuse me. And just a contact to say, hey, here's where we're going to be. Here's what we're going to do. It's legal. We have permission. All that. Just basic things. Probably get some people into it.
We do more than just like on the official side of things. Like, yeah, we'll have a program for you to go through, but we've got a group of 6 or 7 of us in the local area that's like we got KLRs, the little enduro dirt bikes.
Yeah,
we hop on those, just go mob around the city, find these off trails and whatnot. Public property, city property.
I'm kind of jealous. I think I need to get one.
Do it.
Okay.
And we just hop on them and go. It's like, hey, it's Wednesday night.
I'll get one if Alan gets one.
Oh shit! I'll kill myself.
Well, we already know that.
But it's just like middle of the week, Wednesday night. We're done with work. We just need to clear our head. Let's go hop on the bikes and go run around.
Okay.
And hit some trails here and there. Whether it's Canadian River, hop down in the river and hit some trails, whatever the case may be. We'll just go mob around, have fun.
All right.
Break up the work week. So, and if you're going through a hard time and the weekend's coming up, you're like, hey, I can't get anything done this weekend or this week, but the weekend's coming up. Come hop in the Jeep. Let's go to Crossbar. Let's run down to Disney or wherever. We'll take off. Just go.
So my best therapy sessions for just, I guess, self-healing, self-thought, I don't know what term to use, but is just being in the shop with people, garage, whatever it is, working on something. Because you've got a task. You're usually there's a goal like, hey, tonight we want to get this carburetor on this vehicle, or we want to rebuild this fuel system. We want to put this fuse box in. Whatever it is, buff this panel, whatever it is. But as you're doing it, it's a 1 hour task, but you have 5 hours to do it, and the other 4 hours are filled with just talking,
Memories.
hanging out, sharing ideas, and what if we did this? What if we did that? You know, like, oh, I saw this on the internet the other day. You know, that back and forth, that camaraderie that I think a lot of guys in the military miss, because you're with guys that you're with day in and day out, and you come back and you don't necessarily have that, or you might have people you're around every day, but they don't have the same mindset as you. You can't talk to them about certain things or the same interest. But if you get someone in an environment like in a shop, on the trail, whatever, it seems like things click. And even if somebody doesn't have the exact same interests, they can at least comprehend or understand it. And I think that's a big help.
It is. You know, I've got a little side story. Good friend of mine, Joe Tran. He's an Asian guy. I say that because he's used to all the Asian festivals downtown and whatnot.
Well,
And
I mean, the name Tran? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That's like a Fast and the Furious name.
I think it's actually Vietnamese, somewhere in there. But anyway, I took him to a rock bouncer race out at Crossbar.
Okay.
And he's never been off road. His version of off road was going down a dirt road.
Okay.
Didn't know it existed. And he's a.
Well, being from Asia, I mean, well, no, I guess they have mostly dirt roads there. He's gonna hear this and be like, who is this weird guy that's saying he's an infantryman talking shit about me?
So he's a corpsman, but we're out there in this race, and I'm helping him work it. And he goes, "Dude, this white people shit is fun as fuck." 2 weeks later, he has a side by side.
Really? What did he get?
Yeah, he got a 2021 Turbo XP.
Okay.
Razor.
And how long ago was that?
It's been a couple years.
And does he still have it?
Oh yeah.
Still uses it?
So yeah, he's begging me to go out all the time.
So he's ate up.
Oh yeah. So he went on deployment in the Navy, and while he was gone, I actually got a bunch of parts donated and built out his Razor for him.
Okay.
So he came home. He had no idea about it. Came home to. It was a stock Razor when he left. Came home and it's fully built out for him.
I have a similar story to that, but was promised, or it was also a drunk night on the hill. And Clayton came home and
Always Clayton.
nothing was done by a group of people that said they were like, "Oh yeah, we got this, we got that, we'll do this, we'll do that." So I mean, you know, kind of should have expected it. Drunk night in Clayton on top of the hill, but still, the fact that that thing does happen is awesome.
Yeah, we were thankful for all the companies that chipped into it. I mean, it was a lot of out-of-pocket cost and a lot of stuff to make it happen, but it happened, and he's freaking stoked about it and always bugging me, let's go, let's go, let's go.
That's awesome.
So,
Well, I kind of alluded to a story from KOH regarding a veteran that was an amputee, but I didn't really tell you all the details because I wanted to wait till we were recording it. And everybody knows big Jumbotron at KOH, big fire pit out front. Lately, it's been sponsored by Tribe 16.
Yeah, good old
And we were there. Everyone's hanging around, fire going. I don't think Tribe was sponsoring this fire pit. It might have been this.
What year was it?
Well, when I went out with Ape was 14.
14. That was sponsored. To
And
be
then
honest, I think it was
Smittybilt.
actually sponsored by.
Smittybilt, wasn't it?
May have been Smittybilt. Yeah. Anyway, but
And then a couple years later, I think it was still the same. So I think it was the second time I went with, which was I rode out with Chris Summers, Summertime Motorsports, and helped support all of the Tribe guys, including Doug Jackson. And there was a big group of us, and then there was a group of vets that showed up, and one of them was in a wheelchair on tracks.
hell yeah.
And when I say tracks, I don't mean like just like, you know, like a conveyor belt. No, it was like the big triangle tracks. You know, like it looked like he was in something from the Terminator. And this guy, I believe, was missing both legs.
Now, just a side note on that, Jimmy's Off-Road built a tracked wheelchair for somebody. I'll have to talk to Randy about it, but it may have been this same guy.
It very well could have been. I don't know.
Anyway, go ahead.
So there was a big pile of wood, of chopped wood, you know. And this guy, I don't know, who knows what time it was, midnight, 1, 2, who knows. And starts trying to climb it in his tractor wheelchair. And we're all cheering him on. We're like kind of pushing him and stuff. He's like, man, my batteries are getting low. We're like, oh no, like, we'll spot you. Like there's, me, I was a veteran. I understood. Like, he's like, no, I'm going to do it. And there was a couple other guys there. There was a lot of guys there, but there was a group of us that were like cheering him on and stuff. Security guard walks up. Man, you can't do that. And so we kind of jumped to his offense, kind of like in a mob effort. Like, why not? Well, if he gets hurt, there's liability and stuff. And I don't know if I said it or if I just thought it, but I was like, he's missing limbs already. Like, I think he has an idea of like liability and like, risk versus reward. And also, like, come on, man, if he wants to do it, let him do it. If he dies during this, at least he's having fun. I mean, like, there's a lot worse ways to die.
100%.
Like, man, if I died at the fire pit at KOH, I think that's a pretty good way to die.
It wouldn't be so bad. I've honestly thought I've almost died at the KOH.
You did have marks on your face one night.
Yeah, it looked like a Monster Energy sponsorship.
So we ended up getting the security guard to back off. He's like, well, if anything happens, it's on you. And so the guy's battery was dying on the wheelchair, and so we ended up kind of pushing him up, and he got onto the top of it, and the whole crowd around the fire pit cheered, and or at least as I remember it. Maybe it was just me, I don't know. And then he went down, and I don't think I ever saw the guy again. But just that little interaction of, man, all he wanted was to take his tracked wheelchair and climb this pile of firewood. And a group of people, ended up helping him do it in a way. Man, that was so cool. And so if even a fraction of that is what Recoil Outdoors can do, I'm in for it.
Yep. And that feeling that he's got to feel in that moment, like, that's what I want to introduce.
Well, and I don't remember, I remember he was missing at least a leg, I want to say. If you're out there, sorry if I'm misremembering, probably kind of a fuzzy night too. But there was at least an arm in the air, and everybody else is cheering it on. We're probably talking crap to the security guard, like, oh, see, we told you, whatever. But and then the night went on. It was a part of KOH. That's what that was, and I will never forget that.
Yep, that's awesome.
That's very cool. Now, have you ever been to KOH?
Yes, left
When?
2 days after. Last year.
You went last year. We haven't made it in a while. So,
Yeah, I haven't been since 16.
I think I haven't. Well, I went to 20 and 21.
Yeah,
And then I went back up there in 2020 and did a full interview with Dave and got to know what the whole COVID bullshit was.
and that's when he very recently his compound and stuff, right?
Yeah, that's when he had his compound. I stayed there. At his
Well, he still
compound.
has it, but it was new at that point.
Yeah, it was pretty new at that point in time. But what did you think about KOH?
From what I saw, it was pretty cool. I want to go back and get the full experience. Like I said, I was only there 2 days, and I was like right at the beginning of it, so not a lot had kicked off yet. I mean, there's still a crowd and everything. But I went there under the assumption that I was going to be staying somewhere, and that stay was no longer available, so I wasn't able to say, yeah, I can sleep out on the desert floor by myself. I knew nobody else there, and not really any connections to make it happen. So the goal is to go another year whenever I'm fully capable to go out and just do it by myself and make stuff happen.
Well, I'll tell you what, the only reason that me and Seth have ever been able to do it, he's a mechanic, a knowledgeable mechanic about a lot of things. He's also a WyoTech graduate for welding and mechanicking and fabricating, where I come in, I've got this little setup, I do my videos. That's the only reason we were able to go. I announced from 2011 to 2014, and then I came back and just took care of about in the 2 years, I took care of about 12 teams doing documentary series for them.
Heck yeah.
And so that's the only reason that we were able to go, is because we used our skills, our skill set, networking skills, all that kind of stuff to make it happen. And so what I would suggest is probably do the same. I mean, Trot.
I've actually worked with Trot quite a bit. he's gave his hand out to me a lot. I'm very thankful for what he's done for me. I've actually went to Baja with him, with Driven Experiences, whatnot. Thankful for the opportunities, but that's something that just didn't work out quite the way we expected. But at the same time, the Waggy, it was literally its first test drive was out on the lake bed.
Oh, geez. Okay.
And so,
It's like half the race cars there.
Were you at? Did you make it to the compound at Dave's compound?
I mean, I passed it.
Oh, you
I know
never
where it's
went in
at,
there?
but
Well,
no,
see,
I didn't go in there.
because Trotter sold Dave a Pro Light, I believe, and he made it into an emergency vehicle that he could actually take people in and out of. So I'm
yeah.
assuming that
The green
was
one?
It was just bare metal last time I saw it, but I mean that's been a few years ago.
Oh, yeah. It was,
So-
that's-
I think I've seen that on the live feed lately. Like
Yeah,
the-
they took a Pro Light and they put it to where it was actually an EMT vehicle to really good put people on
Yep.
stretchers and stuff like that
like
on the back
the
of
Class
it.
11 races and the short course races they had the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I think I've seen it there.
Yeah.
So anyway, but
Could be
yeah,
wrong.
for one, anybody watching this podcast that can actually help you get there, and you can use your skills to do that because you are a mechanic. You've done that. You've already proven that with your vehicles that you already have. We'll help you reach out just so you can go experience it, dude. And now it's not a 9 or 10 day event anymore. It's a 14 to 20 day event now,
It's
which
insane.
is freaking unreal.
Yeah.
It
Which,
goes-
which both times I've been there, it's been that way, but half the time is prep. Well, now there's stuff going on the
Every
entire
day.
Like, you might get there a week before your race or 2 weeks before your race, but the entire time that you were there was stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the second year I was there. We were on Griffin Row, which is right next to Main Pit,
Yeah.
right there on the short course. And I wake up and I look out the window, and I'm staying with Derek West. And I look out the window and I see these little dots coming off a short bus, and they're coming down, and they're not on the main road. They're over here, and I'm like, "What in the world is that?" And I'm wake up all the guys in the toter with me. I'm like, "What is that?" They're like, "Oh yeah, that's King of the Motos. They just started that this year." And I'm like, "They're not even on the trail." and it's
Yeah.
motorcycles
Those
coming
guys are
down.
nuts.
Oh, those guys are crazy. So anyway, but it's definitely a bucket list, and if you can get good amenities as far as just a toter home that's warm, and now they have showers that you can use, and now they have food. They got vendors. The only thing they don't have there is an ATM machine and beer. So you have to get your beer somewhere
I
else.
figured by
Say
now
that's down the road.
they probably at least have an
Yeah.
well, it's 30 minutes down the road.
Yeah, it's-
From- I remember to go to where the pizza shop is, that gas station. It was about a 30-minute trip.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
pizza place that sold weed there, and the
Yeah,
incense.
if you ordered a specific
That's
pizza, they would bring it onto the lake bed. You get a pizza with a,
a
side.
joint. Yeah. So, but there is a couple Airbnbs there too. So you
Yep,
might want to get with all the buddies and everybody else that can take that 14-day
Yeah,
jaunt.
you got
and get
Laser
it.
Town, and then there's another one.
Yeah, we talked to Cody, too.
It's kind of the same thing as Laser Town, but I believe it's more specific to rent out this area, and you have your own compound to put a camper on, and there's a shop available to you. I don't remember what it's called.
I haven't heard
but
about that one.
if you look at Laser Town's Instagram, I'll do that right now. They were something like they found a fault line in front of this property, and they had to go in and
There's a
dig
peanut.
out the fault line
Oh.
down to like I don't know, it was like 10 feet down and like the length of the fault line to do some testing to see if it was stable or something like that. And Cody Wagner had it on the Lasertown page, but he tagged this other place
Oh,
on there
okay.
for it.
Well,
So
they
I'm
do
looking-
have a peanut farm down there too, right down there. That I don't know if they rent out anything, but there's a peanut farm down there as well. Peanut or something that grows underground. I'm not real sure what it is. But if you get a chance, yeah, I mean, if
Yeah,
we can help you
absolutely.
and do it, make it happen, that's one thing we can do.
Be awesome.
But other than that, man, I appreciate having you on. We're about an hour and a half.
I appreciate it, guys.
Hey,
Definitely.
no problem, man. This is the first time
fun.
we've met you. That's one thing
Yeah.
we like to do. The other thing that we like to do, which is we're having a hard time, is having somebody live here.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing is getting them to come out of bring their rigs, and then strap them in, because we're usually talking to race car drivers.
Yeah.
Strap them in, helmet, Hans, Meru safety, any whatever you got, and see how fast you can get out.
Okay.
Well, and
I guess we could probably do it with trail cars because trail cars catch on fire too.
No, I would love to compare the difference between the two because you should be able to get out of a trail car faster than a race car because you have less, usually, in a lot of trail car instances, not in every case, you don't have full door bars. In buggies, maybe so, but I know most of the buggies I'm around have built-in swing-out doors now.
Right.
Wide open design buggies and stuff. They have doors. Mm-hmm. So you should be able to get out of your 4-point harness, assuming you have a helmet on, take steering wheel off, whatever, kill it. Like I would say vehicle running, kill everything, including no power. Like not only turn the engine off, but kill the power off, get out and be faster than a full-on race car with a fire suit, neck restraint,
full
doors, harnesses, window nets.
You're giving me ideas for the event in April.
Well, and we've talked about that. So I remember, what is it? So it started out with like the 3 British guys. They did all the car stuff.
Yeah, it's Top Gear.
Yeah, Top Gear. So
same idea.
They had the track, and they would keep track of like times around this course and where cars stacked up. But do the same thing here of, okay, so you can get out in this amount of time. How fast can you get out? Now, granted, it's not apples to apples because of different cars and stuff, but still, if you can get out in fast enough time to where your fire suppression equipment, like what you're wearing, can still keep you from getting burned, or at least like burned really bad.
Well, and
that's the goal.
You mentioned it to Landon.
Yes.
Landon and Wyatt Brown. Landon's 11-year-old, I believe he's 11. He's a rock crawler. He's a rock crawler. He's got a competition rock crawler. He's the only one that's brought his vehicle here. But he didn't have all his equipment here, and we didn't even really, we thought about it, but we didn't really think he could do it because he's not thinking about that. He's cone dodging, and not to mention he's 11 years old.
But still the same thing.
It is the same thing, and to be honest, Wyatt didn't realize his SFI rating versus the time.
Yeah, I mentioned it. So your rating on your fire suit, depending on the rating, so per layer, there's X amount of time, and it's seconds per time, and not double digits either.
Right.
So if you have a 5-layer suit or a single layer or like a 2-layer with fireproof underwear or something, I mean, you've got 15, 20 seconds.
Can you get out?
I think I mentioned 30 seconds for like a 5-layer suit, and I think I even overshot that. Can you get out? And that's direct heat. That's direct flame burning through it. That's not even heat getting through it and hitting you. And that's assuming you have gloves, Nomex socks, race shoes. You have you have a neck sock or a balaclava or a balaclava. You have your visor down. All those things add to it. There's
which I think we could put it into 2 classes. I think we could do a trail class and then a race class.
Well,
then we could have it work that way.
Well, like down at it's Rugged Mountain Ranch. So they do a race down there. It's the Tackett Creek Challenge.
Oh, Tackett Creek. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Zandy Willems was a big part of that.
Yep.
And my uncle, cousin, and my father have been and a friend of ours.
Not
that we
all
both
the
know,
same.
Steve
you had
Woods.
3 people: uncle, cousin, and father. It's not all the same, is it?
They're different. All different.
Okay. All right. Good.
There's no overlap on those labels. But
I got that too.
So like this last year, my cousin won the race. My dad's buggy has won the race and set the record before, with my cousin driving it. Like they have multiple finishes at that event. This one trail that they do, they qualify for it, set off every 30 seconds or whatever. But it's an overall time, kind of like KOH, but just really compressed into this very extreme trail. But they're in t-shirt, pants, harnesses, not necessarily window nets.
Yeah.
Motorcycle helmets or skateboarding helmets. But even then, like, have you practiced to get out? Have you practiced getting out? And if you have a fire suppression system, knowing where it's at. So I would rather do it with like blacked out visor, blacked out goggles, fog machine, loud music,
I
like
got the fog machine up there.
like
We can do that.
let's really let's it's not to make it simple. Let's disorient them a little bit.
Well, the whole thing
spin
started.
around 5 times around
Yeah.
a baseball
Yep,
bat
yep.
first.
We this whole started on Rock Sports Insiders whenever Lauren Healy posted that video of that fire suppression stick.
We
thing.
talked about it before.
Oh yeah,
that,
we've
but
talked about it
it's
before.
come up again since
and
then.
He couldn't get it started. He just threw it out the window and got out. And everybody's like, fire suppression, fire suppression. I'm like, well, how quickly can you get out, dude?
Yeah,
And
honestly.
and this is trail rig and race rig as
Yep.
well.
Like if you have a fire suppression system, can it set itself off? A lot of people have fire extinguishers and stuff.
Yeah.
I believe the Halon system with NASCAR can, but the ones that we
No.
put in off-road vehicles can't.
False.
Oh, okay.
You can buy multiple systems that have nozzles that when it sees a certain temp, it bursts and releases it.
I know
automatically.
airplanes
So-
have that.
Yeah,
Okay.
same with like kind of like you're in your buildings when those
when they
your
see the
sprinkler
temp.
systems see a certain amount of heat. There's a little bulb in there, it breaks.
Yep.
You can buy systems with that. So and also you can get them where they're manual or automatic. So you can set it off manually, or it can do it automatically. It it can do both. I've seen some stuff where there's these tubes of it's a sealed plastic tube with caps on it, but it has a pressurized fire suppression in it, and I guess they're marketed for motorhomes and stuff like that in the engine bays, like pusher motorhomes. But I saw someone, I don't know if it was on Rock Sports Insiders or where I saw it, but they had it on a hood of a like a trail car or something with the hood closed. So if it sees direct heat that's high enough in any part of that tube, and they come in different lengths, it bursts and puts out a pressurized fire suppression system.
Coming from the aerospace industry, you're seeing that as well, right? It's
Oh,
there.
yeah. We've had guys crawl in the tail housing of an aircraft. Somebody's in the front, the avionics bay, and accidentally sets one off back in the back. And it chokes the guy out. I mean,
Like,
depletes all the oxygen out of the air. And
yeah.
I mean,
What they do, hit the wrong wire to something, and it
yeah, there's
triggered it.
circuit breakers that trip them. The automatic
Yeah.
manual ones. Yeah, those are.
Wow.
Yeah.
But the ones I'm talking about are strictly heat related. Like they
Yeah.
see 1,000 degrees and it sets off the nozzle, and it'll only set off that nozzle, not the entire system. So if you have a nozzle over your engine, over your transmission, and then you have two over like your passenger and driver area,
You can have different temps.
the passenger and driver area could be where you do it manually. The one over your engine and transmission
It's
are
automatic.
temperature rated, and then the one that's over the transmission, say you have a transmission leak and it hits on the exhaust, lights up right there by the transfer case, it only bursts that one.
Okay.
So you're
At the
able to
source.
isolate to the source. Now, if it goes out and it doesn't go out, then you can open up the rest of them potentially.
It's funny with aerospace. Scooby,
Yep.
he actually had the first time I ever saw aerospace meet off road. Is he has 5-point harnesses, and he uses a 3/8 ratchet to tighten his seat belt.
He had a hooker harness.
No, I don't know where it was.
Well,
but
one of the original companies to do that was Hooker, and also it was
but he bought them from an aerospace company.
yeah, I think it had to have been Hooker.
And it was just a 3/8 ratchet that tightened down his waist belt because you know how much they loosen up. And he just kept tightening them down. I was like, "Are you kidding
Well,
me?
and
That's
also
so awesome!"
even just pulling on the strap, you can only get so tight. But
Yeah.
who was it that husband and wife Red Bull rock crawling team? He was big on pirate.
Dennis. No, it's not Dennis. It's we know who we're talking about.
Yeah.
Red Bull Rocker.
Yes, so they used Hooker harnesses too.
Okay.
And same thing, yeah, it's built onto it, and so you tighten down your straps, but then you ratchet it down to finish tightening it. A sprint car
Just
I worked
something
on a
like-
couple years ago, we had one of those too, because like you can only get small confined space, you can only get so tight. So I'd pull the straps tight, and then I'd reach down and a couple extra cranks on the ratchet.
Yeah.
First thing I would grab to loosen him up was reverse the ratchet, couple loosen up, then let him unbuckle. And then before he got in, I would come and then loosen the straps up again, you know?
Yeah.
Remember the damn guy's name. It's driving me nuts. I'll remember it when I'm laying in bed tonight. Webster. Dustin Webster.
Yes.
That's who it was, Dustin. But anyway, we're done with safety. We were talking about that, but they give you ideas for the next event.
Yeah.
I mean, you could even do that at Mocha and Mud, to be honest.
Actually,
yeah.
Well, and here's the deal, especially if you do it like one rig and a helmet, even if it's oversized. I don't know. Or
It's a helmet. You still got to unstrap it and whatever you do.
And like get everybody in, and like whoever has the fastest time gets a gift card. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or,
like
a hat,
T-shirt.
merch.
If you just got a brain, what do they call a brain bucket?
Yeah.
that a lot of the rock crawlers
Yeah.
wear.
Like
your
a-
head's still bigger than what you think it is. So
Yeah.
you're
like an
still gonna
actual
run
off-road helmet.
Yeah,
You know, something like that.
from Axel Off Road. There you go, Axel. It's all for you, buddy.
Hey, we won one at the Unlimited Off-Road Expo one year, and the one we got was too big. So Axel said, "Hey, message me. I'll send you the right size one." And Abby used it the first time she ever rode a bike and stuff. When he sent it to us.
Right.
Now my cousin Bradley, he is rebuilt the back half of his Jeep. It's now a 4-seater. Now one of his boys wears it
Yeah.
trail riding.
Axel and Marvin, good people.
And,
I worked with them for
yeah,
years. Have you ever met them? Axel and Marvin Stammel?
I have them on Facebook. I've never
Okay.
met them in
Well,
person.
freaking awesome.
What's it?
They're good people.
What's the Facebook? YouTube?
His is Flex Rocks and Rollovers.
Yeah.
It's
Yep,
Marvin's.
So that's Marvin. That's Axel's son.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Gotcha.
Axel used to run the Off-Road Expo that was in Louisville, Kentucky.
Unlimited Off-Road Expo.
The Unlimited Off-Road Expo.
and down
correct.
in Texas Motor Speedway.
In Texas Motor
Okay.
Speedway. And I used to run the Racers Lounge. So we'd take anybody that wanted to sign up, or they didn't even sign up, they just got in line. And they would, I had 6 or 7 racers that would give them a ride around the thing.
Mm-hmm.
There was one guy, I'll never forget this, in Fort Worth. He actually waited 3 hours, and we got him there, and he was almost too big to fit in a race car. He's a big old dude.
Yeah.
And we're like, I was like, man, I don't know. Oh my God, I got 2 broken rigs. These guys broke rigs. They had fun.
Yeah, it was an
Heck
obstacle
yeah.
course.
Yeah,
Like
it was
there was logs, there was jumps, there was like a little rock
And-
section.
And we finally found one. It was Matt Holt. He had a Kirky seat. And then we'd be able to fit him in the Kirky seat.
was
and
that
put him in.
the aluminum YJ?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not the one with YJ. It was Matt Holt and Hyperactive.
Oh, Matt Holt. Okay, yeah.
Matt. Not Matt. Not Matt Howe. Matt
Yeah,
Holt.
there we go. Sorry.
But anyway, yeah, we were able to fit him in a Kirky seat and give him a ride. And he's like, I waited 3 hours for this. I'm like, holy crap. So, but yeah, we usually put on any event, we put 118 to 120 riders through it. And then we were able in Kentucky, we were able to actually do side-by-side racing with the drivers so they could bust out all of their nerves and everything from taking people on rides going slow. It's like, go race. And they would go. It was a blast. And it was a lot of, in Kentucky, it was a lot of bouncer guys. So those bouncer guys, they go all out.
Yeah, they were. I remember seeing videos of, like sending it like end over end.
Yeah,
Golly.
they did.
Well,
But
Sage, my youngest,
Yeah.
she's 10 now, about to be 11. One of her first memories is in Chris Summers' car going through that course.
the course at DFW?
Yeah,
Or
and,
at Texas Motor Speedway.
She
Yep.
still has a picture signed by Summers before he sold out.
He's in here somewhere. There he is, right there.
Yeah.
He's on my table. He signed it.
Yeah, it's
That's
that
Chris.
exact one
And-
signed,
and
and
that's
she
owned
still
by-
remembers it.
That's owned by a buddy of ours in, well, he's either in Fort Myers, Florida, or he's in Arkansas.
Is that Kellenbeck?
No, that is Quentin Hilburn. Is who
Hilburn,
owns
sorry.
that car now. Hilburn owns that car now. So,
But,
but anyway,
but Sage, last 4th of July at Aaron Peters at Apes 4th of July thing, Sage said, "Is that the guy I rode in the car with?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then she was like, "Oh, okay, I know him now."
Yeah.
You know, like she didn't remember who he was, but she remembered riding in that car.
Yep.
and
Made a lifelong friend.
and
That's
it's a core memory.
brought the connection back. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
So
that's the best I can do, and hopefully the same thing for veterans that you can do, or we can help you do, is bring those core memories to where there's always something to fall back on if you think, man, I don't know what else I can do. Well, hey, we can go off road.
Yep. Get out of the house. Take your brain off everything else in life.
yeah. Well, I mean, we're getting at about an hour and 45 minutes. I think we're about done. Tell everybody where they can find you, how they can apply to be in the program, and your the next two events coming up.
So the events real fast are Mud and Mocha and Midwest City at Lost Lake Adventure Park, December 9th. You can follow us on Recoil Outdoor Facebook page and group. Always posting updates in both of them. You can also shoot me an email at chanceleak@recoiloutdoor.org. And soon you'll have a webpage you can go to,
Okay.
recoiloutdoor.org.
And if anybody has any questions about your legitimacy, they can message you, and you can provide all the information.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
his name is Chance Leake. He will talk to you on Facebook because I know that because I just randomly messaged him, and that's why we're here tonight. So,
And I won't go into details. We talked earlier about some ins and outs of the nonprofit stuff. In my opinion, as a veteran, I've seen some bad stuff. I have no reason to believe he's not legit.
Yep.
Yeah,
Just
that's-
want to provide a program that wish was around when I was home.
I agree. Thank you.
cool. Well, thank you guys very much. Don't forget, Territory Whiskey. Go buy a bottle of it. If you have a problem finding a bottle, holler at me. I've got a couple here. But you're taking one home.
Heck
So-
On their website, they have a locator for dealers. And if you can't find one near you, I'm sure you can message them on their email and say, hey, I want to try this. Where can I get it? And they can help you out.
Yeah, they would help you out. And then other than that, guys, look at us on Facebook. See you on the trail. Don't go to the one that has 7,000 likes because I am not an admin of that anymore. It's a big mess. Go to the one with like 150
That's the one you got
likes,
hacked
which
and kicked
sucks.
out of.
Yes.
And, Facebook.
And that's why you're an admin now, and so is Aaron, so is Michelle, so I think Abby is too. I don't know. Just so I can get back to it.
if she has Facebook, I don't know about.
But anyway, go to the smaller one. I'm trying to rebuild that one. Instagram's still going strong. You can go there. We do have a TikTok. See you on the trail. Just do it spell it out, no spaces, and you're good to go.
And you can listen to this everywhere podcasts are available?
Everywhere podcast. I'll post the video link. The video link will be on YouTube as well as Spotify. So I'll send Chance a link. I'm sure he'll share it as well. I'll send it to Smash Motorsports and Seth.
Smash _motorsports on Instagram, and just Seth Brown on Facebook.
Yeah, we'll share it up. But other than that, guys, share this. Take care. Have a good time. Until the next time, peace. This is Hitch and Seth and Chance.
See you on the trail.
See you on the
Appreciate it.
trail.